Imagine a frugal, bookish guy and his new girlfriend packing their bags for Paris. This trip is meant to test their connection. His ideal Saturday involves an obscure museum and a quiet novel, but she operates on a different frequency, preferring a status-driven lifestyle defined by $20,000 watches and a closet full of luxury Hermes bags. The friction starts at the first dinner. He wants a local dive bar. She expects him to cover a €500 tasting menu because her baseline for travel is luxury leisure in Saint-Tropez. By day 3, the tension completely fractures the relationship. They break up in the middle of the trip, forcing him to spend his remaining vacation days in a separate hotel room. This disaster happened because they mistook a shared interest for a shared value. Traveling together is a useless point of connection when the underlying values driving that travel point in opposite directions. To understand why a conflict like this is so difficult to resolve, we have to look at the work of psychologist Shalom Schwartz, who studied human motivation to define what a core value actually is. Unlike a preference, like choosing steak over chicken, a value is transsituational, meaning it follows you into every room. It triggers intense emotion and acts as the yardstick you use to measure your own worth and the worth of everyone around you. These concepts exist in a strict hierarchy. Because your mental energy is finite, prioritizing one specific value inherently demands the sacrifice of another. These load-bearing pillars dictate every decision, judgment, and trade-off we make throughout our lives. Schwartz mapped out 10 universal structural pillars that exist within every person, from a drive for personal achievement to a value for benevolence. But the engineering of the mind requires trade-offs. Pillars situated across from each other on this wheel constantly pull against each other. A strong desire for openness to change actively fights against a need for conservation and security. Over-indexing on one side creates structural failure. Pushing exclusively for status and achievement crowds out your capacity for benevolence and connection. Aristotle recognized this problem thousands of years ago. He argued that virtue is not an extreme, but a golden mean, balanced between two opposing vices. A healthy psychological structure requires a balanced tension between these opposing forces. While Schwartz mapped the internal friction of our choices, psychologist Ryff developed a framework for overall health, outlining the specific dimensions required for a person to flourish. Her research identified 6 load-bearing pillars: autonomy, environmental mastery, personal growth, positive relations, purpose, and self-acceptance. Dimensions like personal growth and environmental mastery allow you to navigate daily life effectively. When chaotic forces strike, these pillars distribute the weight, keeping the structure stable. The most difficult pillar to build is self-acceptance. Without a realistic ownership of your own flaws, the foundation remains vulnerable to collapse during periods of intense pressure. Ryff defines psychological well-being as a balanced 6-pillar structure, designed to provide long-term life satisfaction and emotional resilience. Because your architecture relies on a hierarchy, you have to choose your struggle. Adding weight to one priority guarantees instability in another. If you place your highest premium on personal freedom and novelty, you have to accept the loss of deep roots and daily routine. To maintain your integrity, you must audit your own mind. You have to distinguish which of your current priorities were consciously chosen and which were blindly inherited from your culture or your parents. There is no escaping the physics of trade-offs. You simply choose which sacrifices you are willing to endure to keep your structure standing. You can use your emotional reactions as a diagnostic tool. Strong feelings of anger or sadness signal when a load-bearing value is struck. When you find yourself leaning too far in one direction, you have to balance the network. If over-indexed on achievement, practice its opposite. Because values rank in a strict hierarchy, the few at the top, the terminal values, drive the vast majority of life outcomes. This is the 80-20 rule of the mind. Your core pillars dictate almost all of your meaning and conflict. You don't need to optimize every minor preference. You just need to accurately identify the few central pillars holding up your roof. A fulfilling life requires knowing exactly which pillars you are building upon and ensuring your personal architecture is compatible with the people you choose to let